Wednesday, April 8th, and we very much appreciate that you've tuned in to us here on Facebook Live for another one of our conversations as we all try to survive this coronavirus outbreak. I'm joined by the mayor of the city of Yonkers, Mike Spano, who is broadcasting from a backdrop that's better known from the television work of Mary Calvi. But the First Lady of Yonkers has yielded to the Mayor of Yonkers so that we can be together this morning on Facebook. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. County Executive. How are you?
We're all hanging in there. Mike and I go back a number of years. We've served together in the state legislature and in the county legislature. And this time of the year, we would usually be arguing about the relative merits of the New York Islanders and the New York Rangers, both of whom are on pause right now, as is most of the world. And in those days, when Mike and I were legislators, we'd sit together and talk about things. Now he runs far and away the largest, most complicated municipal government in Westchester County. So we both have responsibilities that are very different from our time as legislators. And Mike, this is your 9th year as mayor of Yonkers. It's a city of 200,000 people. You deliver basic services on a size and a scope that no other community matches. How is it going right now in Yonkers?
It's going pretty well. I mean, when I learned about politics a long time ago, my father said to me, he goes, people are going to surprise you in a very good way. Because he also said, though, people will surprise you in a very bad way. But what I'm seeing is that there are people who are surprising me for the most part in a very good way. Our first responders, our teachers, our healthcare professionals, the people by and large and in general in this town. It's a tough city, tough people in this city, and everyone is doing what they have to do to get us past the pandemic. But it's not been easy, and but we've gotten a lot of help. The governor's been fantastic. Obviously, you and your office have been fantastic in helping Yonkers, and I just want to say thanks for all you do. We are. I guess you'll probably want to ask me some other questions, so maybe I'll get into what's happening with our first responders and all. But it's been a tough haul, but it's been tough for everyone, and I think everybody realizes that we're on this together.
Well, that probably is the best place to start. Yonkers is as not just large in population, but as diverse in population as anyone could imagine. The different ethnic groups, the different age ranges, neighborhoods that would be communities unto themselves in other parts of the county. And all of this has to be melded together. And it's very much a community where people interact in person all the time. 13, 14, 15 senior centers around the community, religious services in various synagogues, mosques, and churches that are too numerous to mention. How are the residents dealing with this, Mike? In a city that is so interactive, where people meet each other all the time, and now we have to sequester ourselves from each other. How does that work in a city the size of Yonkers?
It's take Yonkers. I mean, we are probably one of the most diverse cities of our size in all of America. Over 100 different nationalities call Yonkers home. There are over 60 different languages spoken here. We have a senior population. We have that is pretty high, I'm sure by comparison, but we still have everything from that and our kids and everything in between. But it's a city that is probably the true melting pot of Westchester County, because you'll find everything in Yonkers. And we had our first report of the COVID-19 came out on March 9th. Actually, there were 6 cases at that point reported, and the more famous case was the person that worked at Yonkers Raceway, who lived in New Jersey, who passed away from the COVID-19. And everyone, saw it grow exponentially from that moment on. But everyone was committed. And the residents are they just want to know that their services are being provided. They're going to listen. They're going to do the things that they ought to be doing. We have not closed our parks, but we have closed our kiddie parks because we can't maintain them. We can't clean them. So we've closed, but we have while we're encouraging people to stay home, we are saying to people, if you're healthy and you're not in a high risk group and you need to go out for a walk, there are 54 different city parks to go walk around in, and as long as you're practicing social distancing, and we can get into that too, because we're going to start raising our efforts to enforce social distancing, then you know what, then go ahead. But try and stay home, except from when you're exercising or trying to just get a little fresh air.
Well, and Westchester County has a number of very prominent parks within the city of Yonkers that the residents of Yonkers use, tremendously. I had the chance over the weekend to visit Tibbetts and to walk around to observe the same things, because we're as concerned at the county level, because it's the county police that have to enforce these things inside a county park. Yonkers PD has enough to do in 1,000 other ways. And then the same would be true of both the golf course in Brook, Sprain Ridge, and then the pool complex, which is closed right now, but it's still an open area. People can walk through the woods in that area of the city to get some exercise and so forth. How the business is doing? I mean, we basically shut down bars, restaurants, everything that you can think of, barbershops. I'm starting to get shaggy here now, as I posted on Facebook today.
Not a lot of gel in there.
Gel. I don't know. You probably got a haircut the last day that you could have legally gotten one. But the bottom line
this
is
really a chia pet being held back. I have a lot of kink in my hair.
Right.
So,
Well, just in general, though.
But you could talk about, the businesses are having it rough. I mean, we all know that, especially in a city like Yonkers, where, like I said, the majority of our city is working class families, a lot of small businesses that have been closed. And but what we've been doing is, like, for instance, Palm Sunday, we went to Dom and Vinny's. We didn't go there, but we picked up our food from Dom and Vinny's on Stone River Road, and we ate it, and we put it on social media, and a lot of people responded and said, you know what, I've been to Dom and Vinny's a long time. I'm going to call and do that. Or so what is Dom and Vinny's, Carlos, or the different restaurants. What we try to do is promote local businesses that are happening in Yonkers in an effort to get people to use them. And because while they're closed for the public, they're not closed for business, and they will you will be able to utilize them. And that's George, I think that's going to keep them afloat, provided this doesn't go much longer. Keep them afloat if we choose to use them. And that's what I'm trying to do with Mary and the kids here. All of a sudden I had 3 kids. 2 of them are in college, and 2 are back from college. And they're my daughter has her classes every morning. My son has most of his classes every afternoon. I enjoy seeing my kids. Don't get me wrong. But they are, learning remotely and doing what they have to do, and I'm helping out as best I can. Though I have found out that listen, I never thought I was all that smart to begin with, but I have to tell you, watching my kids and what they're learning in college these days, that just confirmed it.
Well, it's interesting because everything about the way we live our lives is different now. When we consider what our challenges are at work, you and I, and relatively similar type responsibilities, but everybody's had to adjust. And the fact that, just the religious institutions are closed. Tonight is the first night of Passover. Our Jewish friends will be celebrating the traditional Seder, which is all of the family around the table, a great tradition. You and I are both Roman Catholic, and all the other Christians that are here. We're on the cusp of Holy Thursday, or Maundy Thursday, leading to Good Friday and Easter, and we won't be in our parishes, Annunciation or Resurrection, for the great Easter celebration, which is the most joyous day in the Christian faith. And those are adjustments too, as is learning and everything else. What do you think has been the most challenging thing about the change in our lifestyles right now? And is there anything that's surprising that as you make these assessments?
Well, by the very nature of what we do for a living, we're public people. We enjoy energy, the energy that people give off. We enjoy the energy of other people. We enjoy the energy of crowds. And you take that Jordan, you add the fact that I'm one of 16 children, and the fact that I see my family all the time. I mean, we spend Sundays together, all 16 of us. That include the spouses, and includes many of the nieces and nephews, and all that has stopped, including seeing my mother, who, by the way, we have quarantined. 86 years old. We've quarantined her. She's not happy about it. She has frankly said that she can handle it, but what we did was we did that farm. I guess you go on TV and there were about 60 of us, and we got to wish her Bon Palm for Palm Sunday, and she was just so elated. But it's isolating, this disease, because of the nature of what we have to do, and that makes me uncomfortable. I will tell you that. I think that there is a tremendous amount of anxiety out there. I can feel it at times on my own, but at the same time, I focus on the positive. And the positive is, I get on the phone, I call residents, I call my family, I'm on the phone every single day with 6 or 7 different departments. And the people of Yonkers should know that while Yonkers City Hall is closed, they're not closed for business. And operations continue. You need information from the building department, from the tax office, from the parks department, the office of aging. All those different departments are all in operation. So if you go on YonkersNY.gov, you will be able to find out how to access those groups. Now, you may not be able to go to City Hall, but you don't have to. You can do things via the internet or the telephone, and get your business done. We've also, as you know, with our taxes, many of our seniors don't like to pay the taxes online. They will pay them in person. There's also a 2.5%. So what we've decided to do is to waive the 2.5% for anybody who wants to pay their taxes online, and then we will credit. They'll still pay it at the time they pay their bill, but we will credit it back to them.
Well, that shows a great degree of sensitivity. We've had some discussion and frankly some disagreement here in White Plains. I put a plan out that I thought was workable that would, for the towns of Westchester County, we don't have the authority over the cities of Westchester, to forestall the deadline of April 30th and make it July 15th for those that could assert economic hardship. And there are a lot of people in this society now that have lost jobs, that have small businesses that are shuttered. And government has its responsibilities. We both have governments that are hit tremendously by this. I don't quite know that either of us know how we're going to balance our budgets by the end of the year. And I think the governor would say the same thing if he was on with us in terms of the state. But for practical purposes, people start with their own families and the mortgage they have to pay or the rent they have to pay. So, we thought that would be helpful. There'll be a different plan out, and we'll see how that works out. You have the same challenge that we do at the county, and that is enforcing social distancing in the various parks that we have. And we have them all over the county. Some of them, the nature trails for us, the hiking, they're really not an issue. But when we get Kensico Plaza, when we get the boardwalk at Playland, or that big open area, Tibbetts, it can slide very easily into large groups of people, partying on, and maybe they're younger and maybe they don't think this is going to affect them. How are you and the Yonkers PD and the Parks Department handling enforcement of social distancing?
We were taking a very light approach at first. The approach was encouragement. Just encourage people to practice social distancing. If they encourage them not to play contact sports, but what that has led to is, we've had to do more than encourage people not to do contact sports. So we've taken the basketball hoops down. We've taken the nets away. We've done things to close our parks, not our parks in general, but close the kiddie parks so that people wouldn't use them because we can't sterilize. We have tried to have a gentle glove approach, but this week the residents will see that we're going to up that up a little bit. And so police officers will be around. They will be enforcing social distancing. They will be doing so with warnings. But the police officer will have the ability in Yonkers that if they feel someone is in blatant violation of the social distancing policy, they will issue summons. And so they'll have that power because there have been, while most everyone has been good and has been following the policy, there are those who just don't want to follow the policy, and it's a real threat to public health. I don't think they realize it. So our police department's going to enforce it first with a warning, but if they feel that you're not listening, they will issue the fine. I think the fine is either 500 or 1,000. I'm not sure which it is, but
yeah, governor just raised it to 1,000. So it's a serious financial hit for the people that don't do what they're supposed to do. Neither the city nor the county government has any direct control over the hospitals, but you have a number of medical facilities inside the city, and I know you've got a relationship with them. How are you interacting with them to deal with the rising caseload of not just people who have tested positive, but those people who have to be hospitalized?
Yeah, I have been in contact with them every few days. The hospital, in Yonkers proper, we have St. Joe's, we have St. John's. They're pretty big facilities. While Lawrence Hospital is not in Yonkers proper, we all know because it sits on the Yonkers line that it's as much a Yonkers hospital as it is any other place. So we've been working with them in an effort to be a conduit, sometimes between the hospital and the county, sometimes between the hospital and the state, local businesses that want to be helpful. UPS came in and they wanted to donate some PPEs and some masks to St. John's. So they came in and we helped facilitate that. And so there are a number of ways that we can be helpful, but I know that I want to stay out of their way, let them do their job. Last week I went there and delivered 30 pizzas to our friends at St. John's. And I was pleasantly surprised, George. They were like, there's lots of people sending them stuff. And but that made me feel good to know that everyone recognizes healthcare workers and what they're doing. I mean, I was talking to some of the healthcare workers who were telling me about how they don't go home because they don't want to expose the virus to their family. So they'll work a double and they'll sleep in their car, and then they'll come take a shower in the hospital. That's real commitment on behalf of our healthcare workers. So we're available. Our city's public works is available. The police and fire departments, work hand in glove with Empress and the hospitals as first responders. And every one of our firefighters is an EMT in Yonkers. That's something that the taxpayers made a big investment in. It's there and available to and providing protection to the residents of our city.
And one of the things you raised is something we're working on at the county level, which is try to provide housing for those. Provide hotel rooms in a venue where they can then go get a good night's sleep, shower properly without having to go home, because obviously this is a highly contagious virus, and as much as you protect yourself with PPE, there's no guarantee that you're not going to get it and carry it back to your family. And that would be a terrible price to pay for the people that are sacrificing, as are the EMS and the fire and anybody that's interacting, police that's interacting with people every day. They run the risk of that. We've had to cut back our bus service, which is very important for a lot of people in Yonkers. And we've also tried to protect the drivers by cordoning off the front of the buses. I'm sure that's created some hardship in Yonkers. We're trying to work through that. Has there been much feedback on that effort so far?
No. I actually the feedback has been really has been somewhat positive. In other words, I don't have anybody complaining about it, and that leads me to believe that listen, we know ridership is down, but for those who have to use it, it's there and it's available, and it's clean, and
and it's free too, which is not a bad.
Yeah. So you guys, no, I don't. I'm not getting any complaints on that front, and that's real good, and that means that Westchester continues to do what it does well. So, thank you.
Well, it's important for the county to be a good partner to Yonkers and every one of the municipalities. As I've said many times, you and I talked about this in the days when we sat in the assembly together or downstairs in the county legislature, that the county government is not a parental government like the state is. We are a sibling government. it's like in the Spano family, there's 16 kids and a couple are older and they keep, they help out the ones that are younger. Yonkers being the biggest of the municipal governments and the county being a big government, we see our role as to be partners with the other governments and to be helpful where we can. And if we could do something that they can't do, that we do that, and we do that happily and gladly. Just as we start to wrap up our conversation, I know there's a lot of kids out there that are home and they're obviously getting some schooling, but they're also looking around and wondering what's happening. They may not know who their county executive is. They have a pretty good idea of who their mayor is in Yonkers for 9 years. So why don't you just share your thoughts and your message to some of the kids and some of the people of Yonkers for us?
Well, let me start off by saying to our young people, take a look at the person on the other screen. If you don't know him, he's our county executive. His name is George Latimer. He's one of the hardest working public officials I've ever met in my life, and has been a great partner, especially through this whole pandemic. And to our young people, just so you know, this county executive, they are e-learning, and they're learning from a distance. And we have made available a couple hundred different laptops for families that are struggling. We've worked deals out with Altice and Altice came forward and has made Wi-Fi available to struggling families. The teachers are under the direction of great principals, all working from home, all communicating with all 27,000 kids. They're doing a fantastic job, and I know the weather's going to get nice, and you're going to feel spring fever. At the same time, you're going to be restricted because of the pandemic, but just know that that won't be forever, and that it will soon pass. And the faster we get through it will depend on how we individually react to what we're being told by our elected leaders. And so stay home, stay safe, and practice good cleaning habits. Wash your hands, and if you have availability to a mask, you wear the mask. I guess CDC saying everybody in America should be wearing a mask these days. And so, George, I'm really proud of the people of the city. They have responded remarkably well, especially the public employees all across the board, cops, firemen, Teamsters, CSCA workers, all the different sort of unions associated with the city. Everyone is doing what they should be doing. People are taking care of their neighbors. People are delivering meals to seniors. We have Meals on Wheels that we do with your funds from Westchester County. We delivered 2,300 meals to our seniors. And so I want to say thank you for that, and for making that available to our seniors. So our kids are learning, our seniors are eating. We have remote eating facilities for the kids who are at risk, because we have a number of kids in Yonkers who are at risk in terms of nutrition. So breakfast and lunch is being available at 8 or 9 different centers across the city. And so everyone is doing what we should be doing, and I couldn't be more proud of the residents of the city.
Mike, it's been a real pleasure to talk with you. We wish you the best, you, Mary, and your family. Stay safe. We'll see you in person in Yonkers when those restaurants reopen, and we'll have a chance to sit and chat a little bit more.
Perfect.
So that's Mayor Mike Spano of the city of Yonkers, who is leading the largest municipality in Westchester County, 200,000 people strong, and we're very happy to be a partner with them. On these Facebook Live programs, we'll continue most of the days to have a conversation with different people with different elements of how the outbreak is handling. A little later today, I'm going to tour the county center facility that's being constructed with the mayor of White Plains, Tom Roach, and then I'll be back at 2 o'clock to give the county information update, some of the statistics that relate to Westchester County, and any other information we can provide. But in the meantime, take good care out there, be safe, and as the mayor of Yonkers said, and we all believe, it's difficult times, we are going to get through this, and we'll come through as stronger, better people on the other side. Thanks very much, and we'll talk to you a little later in the day.
Take care.